Hey guys, it's Avondale, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Walls, where I take you behind the walls of the Noxcrew Gameshow. I'd like to remind you, as always, if you haven't seen today's episode yet, check the top right-hand corner of your screen. You'll see a link to go to the episode there, so we don't spoil it for you. So now that you've had time to do that, today we are talking about Factory, and my special guest for the day is the butcher himself. It's Antlia.
Hey.
Hey, you sound less scary in person.
Yeah, although I've been regarded as the, grim and sarcastic Finnish person of the Noxcrew, because apparently I sound much older than I am.
Well, how old do you think you sound, and then how old are you?
I've been told I sound something like 27, but I'm actually only 21 years old.
Well, there you go.
But I sounded exactly the same when I joined the Noxcrew, like 3 years ago, so...
So that was really interesting to hear, I'm sure. So speaking of joining the Noxcrew 3 years ago, this game that we're looking at here is probably almost 3 years old, if I had to guess. It was built a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first game I built. Well, I haven't built many, but back then I used to do much more building. Like, butchery is not my main job.
Right.
Even do you think I build stuff as well, till later nowadays. This was just we needed the PvP game in the game show, so I took the job and came up with this.
Sure, and what was the actual initial idea? Because I've heard Nox before claim that he built the first one, and I'm always curious.
Oh yeah, I usually forget that that's happened before. Yeah, Nox actually built really bad first prototype, which was some kind of a mansion. He isn't much of a builder.
I was gonna say, I believe you.
Yeah. Even though the standards back then were much lower than nowadays.
That's true.
So I decided I want to do better than that. And
So you took the job on.
yeah. And this was back in 2011. This build would be regarded as pretty good. Now it's passable. But back then it was, everyone told me it was amazing.
Yeah. It's amazing how time changes the perception of things, especially in Minecraft.
Exactly.
I mean, you think about it, it's been a while since we've had an update, but when they were going gung-ho with the snapshots there for a while, I mean, you could be a week behind and be completely out of the loop, and yeah, exactly. Now here we are. So now that we've talked a little bit about sort of where you made the game, let's move on and talk about how it played out in the episode. So this was the final game between the Celestial Ice Dragons and the evac crew. Winner moves on, loser goes home.
Yeah, that was actually the first match of this season that I played the Butcher in, because I was absent for the first match.
Yeah, that's right.
Wait, actually I'm talking bull crap here, because this is the third match. Or is it?
This is the third match, yeah.
Yeah, because I basically only... My involvement with the game show consists of coming on and playing the Butcher, so I'm not really up to date with the matches.
Sure, but this was one that you actually got to see. And so there was three things I wanted to talk about in the episode. The first one was the flank by Celestial Ice Dragons that they coordinated. And when they got into this room and the teams saw each other, I'm gonna go ahead and bust in here so we can take a look at it. They were actually sitting here, and there was this 30-second period where they were just rapid firing arrows over the edge like this.
Yeah, well, it's a safe way to try to get some damage in, so...
Yeah, and both teams were just so nervous to take the first death, the first hit of damage.
Exactly.
And the patience really did end up paying off for evac crew.
Like, one thing with this arena is that you don't get to see it beforehand. You might have seen it in the episode, but you can't really remember the details.
Right, and it's totally different once you get in here first person as well.
Yeah.
We let them look from those viewing platforms up there, the windows, but you never really see it for real until you get in here.
Yeah, exactly. And there's so many like passageways they didn't notice even. Like, I remember building where's the chimney one? Wait.
Yeah, let's find it.
It's been a while I've been here myself.
Oh, up here, I think.
No, it's where I am right now, actually.
Okay.
Like, I don't think anyone used his passageway.
Oh yeah, this goes all the way up to the roof, right?
Yeah.
Now, could you imagine if the if Celestial Ice Dragons had found this on their flank?
Yeah, exactly.
Or wait, is this too high for them? Maybe they... Oh no, it was a floor too high. They would have needed to get up here. Actually, here's an interesting question for you. I've PvP'd you a couple of times before, and you're usually really good. And one of the interesting things about the way that these maps are designed when we do these 2D fighting arenas is, you know, you have, what, 7 blocks of width here? So strafing isn't necessarily going to come into play at all. There's not a whole lot of sort of this side-to-side movement, but there is a lot of vertical combat.
Yeah.
And I want to hear your thoughts on sort of the advantage or disadvantage that height plays in when you're fighting in PvP games like this.
Well, let me just first say that the verticality in this is purely because, like, it's obviously this was made 2D because it's easier to film, and you have to have that verticality there to make a big battlefield. Right. Because you can't make it really deep, and for example, you can't have any spots where they can hide from the camera, like players. So obviously it's always a good thing to be up high in Minecraft, because how the bows work. Like, I don't think there's any limit on how low you can shoot. Like, if you're up high you can shoot anywhere you want, but it's much harder to shoot someone who's up there. Yeah, exactly.
You think about it, like, there was a point in time where the blue team was down here, and they were trying to shoot up at the yellow team who was up in that window, and they just absolutely couldn't handle it because just the height advantage was so insane. I mean, you can stand here and you can shoot the blue team in the feet before they even get a chance to come out and return fire.
Sure, there was no like tactical considerations going into this when I made this.
Right.
Like, I just made something.
But it did play out really interestingly in this match.
Yeah.
Sort of one of the things that I would argue was the downfall of the Ice Dragons in this game was sort of the lack of communication between the team members on that flank.
Yeah, and that's like it's much harder to communicate for if you don't know like the map that well, because for example if you watch competitive Counter-Strike, big part of that, and surely other games but I'm not familiar with them, is that you know the callouts for different places, and that makes communication like 100 times easier. Now you just say, oh, he's on the ladder, and everyone else goes like, what ladder?
Yeah, and I would agree with you that it absolutely does make it better, like when towards the beginning of it when they first saw each other and blue team was basically just like, I see them, they're over there. That type of communication isn't very helpful, but the type of communication that they really missed out on was when Zeiss climbed the ladder and went into the fray, and nobody knew. He got up to the top, he died, and the message popped up in chat, and then Zepora said, wait, what happened? Are you dead?
No, he gets hit by arrows. It's a double team. He's being kept behind, but no, he gets taken down. Zeiss is pinned back and shot down.
Another one.
Wait, what about? No!
It's that sort of thing that I think ultimately cost them. The patience paid off for the team with the height advantage on this one, but there was a point in time where both of the yellow team members actually retreated up the stairs. If Celestial had used that opportunity to climb the ladder, they would have had a lot better chance pushing up this last flight of stairs than they would have trying to shoot up over this railing for as long as they did.
Yeah, I feel like they should have taken like a much more mobile attitude in this game. Like many times they got stuck in one place and didn't want to move from there. They could have gotten an advantage and surprise, like going around the map and not like holding up in one place.
I agree. And perhaps the most exciting moment of the episode was when they rushed in to kill Silver after the first kill happened. When I can't remember who it was came down the ladder, but then they got that kill trade right at the bottom. Even though Silver was down, he was actually the weaker of the two, and he managed to pull out a kill trade out of that. That was a really spectacular fight.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like this map and this game like could be much better if it was like a best of 3. Obviously that would take too much time, but I feel like we could get more out of it if like the teams could experiment a little bit.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe a best of 3 setting, or something that we could do is your team has respawns enabled, but there's sort of a set number of deaths that you can get or something like that. I think the original concept behind making it only one life to live was that you know, when you die, you're dead. Like there's no coming back from the dead. You're just out. But it would be really interesting to see how a type of game like this would play out if the rules were more similar to like a competitive shooter with respawns.
Yeah. Also, like if you only got that one life, you become much more careful, and that's also like part of the reason why they played so carefully and like lobbed the arrows over there and didn't want to make a move.
And one of the reasons why the game dragged out as long as it did. Here's something topical that I just thought of. We've designed all these PvP arenas based on the current Minecraft combat tactics, but the 1.9 update is going to be the combat update.
Really?
Yeah, we're hearing potential things like enchantments to bows that make them either fire quicker or do more damage, or well, they already can do more damage, I guess, but like fire quicker. Potentially have different drops in the arrows. They're talking about maybe adding new weapons, potentially dual wielding stuff, parrying things with swords.
That would be something like I think would add much more depth into the combat than anything. It's just like the basic combat mechanics. Adding like more depth and not just width to the combat, like.
Absolutely. I mean, you think about how much the critical hit added to the combat in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Very little tweaks can really provide you with big changes in gameplay, and so it's going to be interesting to see what they change, but also how well our combat arenas hold up to the new changes that they make to the systems.
I think it'll be fine, because, like, for example, like I said, this arena is not designed with those mechanics in mind.
Right.
It's just an area for them to be in.
Okay, so we're here outside the Butcher's Cave in the end, actually. That's an interesting thing. Look at the biome there. On this part of your screen right here. Jungle and the end. Makes it so much creepier.
Yeah, to be fair, this is the part I most hate about the game show. Like, this feels like such a cheap thing to be doing. Like, I'm in this cage and...
Yeah, we pretend it's your home, I think. I don't know, if we could change it, what would you change it to?
I don't know, like, I much more like my actual room in the decision dome, like where I usually spend. If I'm not watching a game, I'm preparing for the next massacre
Right.
backstage. Decision dome.
Yeah. So, we'll actually head over there in a second, but while we're here, I want you to sort of talk to me a little bit about what it's like to be the butcher, how you come up with the things that you say in the episodes. I'm actually gonna come down inside your little cave with you
Sure.
there, because this fire, man, is just it's gonna be the worst. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So we're down hiding in the butcher's cave. Yeah. What do you how do you prepare your different jokes that you do? How do you make the butcher come alive?
Well, I actually didn't start doing the jokes from the beginning, which I regret because now I have some left over for the next season.
Oh.
And basically, there's nothing special there. I just come up with them on the spot, like a minute earlier, then I write them down and copy paste them in.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's really amazing because, I mean, you think about how Minecraft characters work, right? Like,
Yeah.
everybody looks the same, more or less. You get
Yeah.
a body with 2 arms and a face, but somehow you're able to put so much emotion into a Minecraft character, right? Like, if you're on a server with somebody and you guys aren't talking together in person or in chat, they could like wave to you and like do something like this or
Yeah,
hop.
exactly.
Everybody knows that hopping means happy, and somehow you're able to turn a Minecraft avatar into something that looks relatively terrifying, It's a character that I think you could argue that everybody loves to hate a little bit, right? Like, that's kind of how the butcher works.
Yeah, and that's like that's probably why they added the pit of shame to the
The
game
pit
show.
of shame. That's so funny. Let's actually whip over there real quick and we'll talk about it. Okay, so we're in the Decision Dome. It's still set up from the leftovers of our Insomnia stage show the other day.
Yeah.
And yeah, I wanted to mention the Pit of Shame was like a very, very last minute addition, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and I lied to you earlier, I must say. It's not the cave I hate the most, it's the pit.
The pit makes you sad.
Yeah, like I came to the first recording that I had and like looked around the Decision Dome and then just noticed that they had added something like this. And I don't know why. I guess it's funny, but it's also like a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, and I think that was I don't know. The reason it actually came in, I can tell you, is oh, we're missing a block there. I had to put these barrier blocks around the outside of the Decision Dome so the chickens wouldn't spill off, right? And sort of the idea was that I needed like, basically, you've seen the chickens get up on top of these barrier blocks. It's because we had to lower it here to be able to let you make this jump, and I fell in the pit. But like, that was the thing. We lowered them specifically so you can make that jump. And while we were doing that, somebody said, well, what happens if he still misses it? And I don't even remember who suggested the Pit of Shame, but it was mostly the point of it was just to give the audience, something fun to look for every time you try to do that jump. I wonder if he's going to make it.
Yeah, and then it was the first match that was played when I was absent, and Tonix played the Butcher. Actually failed the jump.
He missed the jump on the first try, and we wanted him to miss the jump on like the third game. We were gonna have him purposefully do it, but he missed it completely on accident on the very first try. One of the funniest things I've ever seen in person, for sure.
But then, like, I watched at the Twitch chat, and everybody's like, Butcher wrecked, and
and you were like, "Aw."
Yeah, I'm salty.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if I can say this, but I haven't actually missed a jump unpurposefully myself.
Yeah.
In the episodes, it's always Noxite telling me to do it.
Oh, that's fair enough. It's all for the joy of the game.
Yeah. I'm just waiting for the perfect moment to actually make a jump that
Yeah.
he says me to fail.
Right. Okay, so thanks a lot to Antlia, the butcher, for coming on to talk about Factory with me.
Yeah, well, thanks, I guess. Like, I don't usually get to talk, or like, people might not know that there's actually a person, living person, who has his own thoughts behind this character.
That's so deep.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed having you. It was a lot of fun talking to you, and hopefully we get to do it again sometime. And he makes the jump yet again.
Yeah, I usually train this like 50 times before each episode.
50 times practice. You hear this? This man is dedicated.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so until next time, I've been Avondale. Thanks for watching. Okay, so I'm sure everybody's story is a little bit different, but I'm curious about yours. How'd you actually get started playing Minecraft?
Yeah, well, the first version was actually like, I'm sure all the criminal claims have been out-timed by now. Like, I pirated like some first alpha version of Minecraft. Instantly, I fell in love with it. But the problem back then was that I didn't have anything to buy stuff from internet with back in the day. But I had a friend who had credit card or something, so I had some other kind of currency, so I got some homeless person to buy me a bottle of vodka from the store, and then traded that for Minecraft the following day.
Oh, that is fantastic.
But I sounded exactly the same when I joined the Noxcrew, what, like 3 years ago, so...
So that was really interesting to hear, I'm sure. So speaking of joining the Noxcrew 3 years ago, this game that we're looking at here is probably almost 3 years old, if I had to guess. It was built a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the first game I built. Well, I haven't built many, but back then I used to do much more building. Like, butchery is...
Hey guys, it's Avondale, and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Walls, where I take you behind the walls of the Noxcrew Gameshow. I'd like to remind you, as always, if you haven't seen today's episode yet, check the top right-hand corner of your screen. You'll see a link to go to the episode there, so we don't spoil it for you. So now that you've had time to do that, today we are talking about Factory, and my special guest for the day is the Butcher
It's not my main job.
Right.
Even, do you think I build stuff as well, till later nowadays? This was just we needed the PvP game in the game show, so I took the job and came up with this.
Sure, and what was the actual initial idea? Because I've heard Nox before claim that he built the first one, and I'm always curious.
Oh yeah, I usually forget that that's happened before. Yeah, Nox actually built really bad first prototype, which was some kind of a mansion. He isn't much of a builder.
I was gonna say, I believe you.
Yeah. Even though the standards back then were much lower than nowadays.
That's true.
Like... So, I decided I wanna do better than that. And
So you took the job on.
yeah. And this was...
Himself, it's Antlia.
Hey.
Hey, you sound less scary in person.
Yeah, although I've been regarded as the, like, grim and sarcastic Finnish person of the Noxcrew, because apparently I sound much older than I am.
Well, how old do you think you sound, and then how old are you?
I've been told I sound something like 27, but I'm actually only 21 years old.
Well, there you go.